we are, my great neighbor to the north, Canada. I'm crossing into Canada into the province of Ontario along the north shore of Lake Superior. The next big city is the port city of Thunder Bay, more or less Duluth of Ontario. There's a provincial park here, Kakabeka Falls, where I've found a campsite where I'm going to spend the next few nights so I can get out and explore everything just north of the border around here. Canada is the second largest country in the world, with Russia at number 1 and the US at number 3. It looks big, but it's mostly empty. Much of the country is comprised of pine forest, icy Arctic islands, vast mountain ranges, and the long, spiraling, seemingly endless tundra. The flat expanses of Canada's tundra stretch from the tree line, where it's too far north for trees to grow, all the way up to the northern rocky shores of the Arctic Ocean. Much of Canada has little to no human impact and is very much wilderness. It's also possible that it will remain that way for quite some time.
Well, I've now crossed into Canada. Mother Nature has done everything it can to keep me from the border, but I crossed.
Motorcycle camping.
Answered a lot of questions. He asked me about firearms, any weapons.
Do you have firearms with you? I do not. Any other weapons?
I said that I had knives, a machete, and I had bear mace.
Yes. Any other weapons? No. Oh, bear mace. Any other weapons? Bear mace? No. No? Bear? Yes. Is there a picture of the bear on it or what? Yeah, it has. Is there right on it? Yes.
And it was only for bears, specifically, and I offered to show him. He wanted to know if I had anything on my record. There is a law about people with DWIs coming into Canada from the United States. Here's really what that's about.
The Canadian Border Services Agency, or CBSA, reserves the right to deny anyone with a criminal record of DUI's admission into Canada. So if you're a Minnesotan and you decide to go up with your friends on a fishing trip up to Canada, it's a good thing to ask everybody in the group if they don't have anything on their record, because if you go all the way to the border, there's a chance that they're not going to let all of you in. I also think it's cool that they have a portcullis on the badge of their border control agency.
Anyway, they have every right to. He asked if I'd ever been in Canada before, to which I replied kind of, because I had walked across the Peace Garden. I'm really just on the other side of the border, so I'm seeing the Ontario and Canada flags here. Rain is starting to pick up again. This is just obnoxious. So I'm staying in blueberry mode here. I know, it's extremely stylish.
How long do you plan on staying in Canada? Until at least the 7th, or most of the 7th of July, sorry.
7th of July?
Yes.
A couple weeks?
Yes.
More than that.
Yes.
Where else are you going to go?
Planning on going around Superior and Huron and then coming in through Windsor.
Are you meeting or visiting anybody?
No.
I'm quite a spectacle, I'm sure, riding around with all this gear. Well, this is, I guess, the hard part. I'm now on the other side. I'm now in Canada. Wow. This is official. There's probably a lot of little things that I'd like to show that I find different and talk about them as I go along, because I know I'm going to find a whole bunch of things. The street signs already have little crowns on them. Of course, there's still the constitutional monarchy. More on that in another time. Yeah, I can't really do that because it's raining. I can't have the helmet cam on. So I'm gonna, I guess, just fight my way to the provincial park and set up camp right away, because now I'm passed into Eastern time, which puts me, instead of 4:30, at 5:30. It's a little inconvenient about traveling east. Yeah, I am now in. Welcome to Canada.
I'm now driving in another country for the first time. The road paint is familiar, but the signs have changed. My phone is going crazy with notifications for my GPS location, and all the highways now have speed limits in kilometers. I'm actually really excited just riding around, even if it's the same damn thing I was doing 20 minutes ago south of the border. Alright, so let's get back to getting to know Canada. Canada has a population of around 38 million, and the majority live in the Quebec City-Windsor corridor in southern Canada. If Canada were a state, it would be tied with the most populous state in the US, California, which has around 40 million as well. The US, for comparison, has more than 8.5 times the population of Canada at 328 million. Canada is divided into two types of major subdivisions, provinces and territories. There are 10 provinces, many of which are in the south, and 3 territories that divide the northern, less populated Arctic regions. As you can see by this pie graph, here are the populations of the provinces, and here are the populations of the territories. Even if the territories cover about 40% of the land of Canada, only 1/3% actually lives there. We'll get more into the politics of Canada later. Let's get back to geography. Canada has over half of the world's freshwater lakes, numbering around 2 million. There's also a slew of glaciers here that remain in the Rockies to the west and in the northern Arctic reaches. About 1/5 of the world's freshwater is housed within Canada's borders in the form of either liquid or ice. As mentioned before, the majority of Canadians live within 100 miles of the US border. The Great Lakes and Laurentian Basin serve as Canada's urban core's lifeline for commerce with the rest of the world, while Canada also has cities along the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. As I also said in the pilot episode of the season, my route is going to take me around the Great Lakes and down into the most populated part of Canada. I'm also kind of planning my route as I go. All I really know are some major spots I'd like to hit, and then I've left room for pretty much anything else I'd like to see along the way. There is so much I want to get into about Canada. I'm fascinated with Canadian politics and how it's different from my own in the United States. They don't have an Independence Day like the US does because Canada's breaking away from the United Kingdom didn't really happen all at once like it did with the US. Canada's independence has actually happened over a series of several stages over the last few centuries, and if you hadn't seen before, the Queen is still on their money. What's that all about? What's the difference between a province and a state? What are the territories doing up there, and how are they different from provinces? Canada is a parliamentary system that doesn't have two major parties dominating everything. They also don't directly vote for their prime minister. What's that all about? So I'm aiming to learn a lot about the differences between Canada and the United States, and they're different on many levels. My first memorable culture shock is when I got to the first restaurant across the border at a trucker stop. I sat down and had asked for a club sandwich with a side of fries. When it came to toppings on the fries, I wasn't asked about ketchup or mustard that I'm normally used to. Instead, I was asked, "Would you like gravy with them?" I was smitten. I couldn't believe it was an option. I'd completely forgotten, and then I immediately upgraded to poutine. I'll have to give a disclaimer, all the differences that I find are going to be from an outsider perspective. I have few friends or acquaintances in Canada, and this is the one and only time I've been traveling inside and around the country. I'm going to get the pronunciations of things wrong, some facts might not be straight, and some remarks could even offend without me realizing it. For example, many Americans don't understand the historical power of the word Eskimo versus Inuit. That's a controversy in Canada. It's things like that that I'm worried can happen, so I just want to clear the air, and I hope no one mistakes my ignorance as malice. In the next episode, I'll be setting up camp and exploring the provincial park in Thunder Bay. I'm hoping the weather will turn for the better, but I'm not going to count on it.